CBC News has learned the federal government is extending quarantine rules for travelers arriving in Canada. An order for them to self-isolate for 14 days is set to expire today. Ashley Burke joins us now from Ottawa with more on this. Ashley, thanks for joining us. What do we know about the quarantine extension?
Well, John, this was set to expire at midnight. My colleague Phil Lang with the Parliamentary Bureau confirmed through a senior government source that it's going to be extended. And we're talking about these strict 14-day quarantine rules. And that means if you are a Canadian, you're abroad, and you come back into Canada, that you have to self-isolate for 14 days. It cannot be in the same house as someone who's elderly or has a compromised immune system. And you also have to prove to Canadian border officials that you have a credible plan. If you do not, you'll be put up in a quarantine facility, which is usually a hotel. On top of that, if CBSA doesn't think that thinks that you might violate these rules, they can be in touch with public health officials who are in touch with RCMP, and they're coordinating with local police, and there are hefty fines for breaking these quarantine rules, up to $750,000 fine or up to 6 months in prison. So that is a hefty punishment for breaking these rules.
This, as the European Union has just announced that it is opening its borders to countries that it considers safe. So, do they consider Canada safe?
Canada has made the cut. It's on this list of 14 countries that the European Union considers safe. And that means that Canadians can enter this block of European countries and they can travel freely within them. And that starts tomorrow. And the European Union decided on this list of countries in part based on how well they were handling controlling the outbreak of COVID-19. If they were doing the same kind of job as the average European country was, or if they were controlling the spread even better. What's interesting is that the United States is not on that list. It's dealing with a surge of cases across the country. As well, China isn't on the list, but it isn't for a different reason. It's because it's not allowing EU citizens to enter China. So that could be changed if China does allow that. And it raises questions about if Canada will be allowing European Union citizens into Canada. As well, today there is an order in council that's also expiring at midnight. This one prohibits foreign nationals from entering Canada except for U.S. citizens who are here for essential travel. That's supposed to expire tonight, so there are questions around whether or not that will be extended as well. We know that the Prime Minister a week ago said that Canada has to be very careful about how we reopen international borders. Take a listen to what he said.
I understand how difficult this is and how frustrating this is for some people, but we know that reopening too quickly or carelessly would lead us to a resurgence that might well force us to go back into lockdown, to shut down the economy once again, and nobody wants that.
So Canada today, it's the Health Minister, Patty Hajdu, that's in charge of this order in council, could decide to extend this and keep things status quo the way they are, or there could be changes and questions around whether or not we would allow citizens from other countries that are handling the outbreak well to enter Canada. That's all still up in the air right now. This, of course, it's important to know, is separate from the deal that Canada has with the U.S., which bans non-essential travel until July 21st.
Thanks for this, Ashley. The CBC's Ashley Burke, live in Ottawa.